So you guys have talked a lot about, identifying what you need to form the right team. So what have you guys done to actually, identify who of your network or whoever is the person you want, and what do you do to make them so they want to work
To
for
get
you?
them to come on board.
So I start with trying to talk a person out of it instead of talk a person into it. I do that every time. If I'm talking about the senior,
You're like, you don't want to work for me?
I tell them every ugly thing I can think of, every challenge we've got, every obstacle ahead of us, every risk of this not working, and then I tell them, if I'm not scaring you off, you're probably the right person. If you're not afraid of what we've just said, then you're not going to come into this with me and have your eyes become wide open afterwards and regret you did it, because I've just covered everything that your eyes could, go wide open.
You say that to people that are already interested in working with you.
These are folks that either I'm trying to recruit them or they're interested, right? Now, I don't do that with every employee, because most of them wouldn't come in, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the senior positions, the executive, the chief level positions where you're going to do or die based on this team. I've always used the try to talk you out of it, and it's a very interesting approach.
I like it.
And
Especially
it works.
for the C-level.
Yeah, people
Those
love the
people have to be
candidness. Yeah, they love honesty, the candidness. You're really not spinning it.
Were you the guy that went out with girls and were like, you really don't want to marry me because...
I didn't try it with women, I'm sorry, it's business.
When it came to recruiting, and I did a lot of networking, I'm a huge believer in networking, right? The people that you got to meet everybody. Like if you're sitting on an airplane, maybe it's kind of cliche, whatever, but I actually believe God lets you meet certain people for reasons, not just marriage. Okay, it's beyond just marriage. So not everyone you meet is just married, but some you're just to work with, right? So I really believe that you should pay attention to who you're meeting. Pay attention when you pick an apartment complex, pay attention to who's in your ward, right? Because I believe Heavenly Father kind of puts us in proximity to each other so that we will meet. And so when it came to hiring my best people, it usually was people that I had actually come in contact through networking, someone that I'd heard about that person or met that person, and I always kind of had that mindset of why would Heavenly Father want me to meet this person, right? And I think about that a lot, and I really evaluate what is it about their life, and you kind of see those things where we had one guy, my CFO, actually, he was the CFO of Overstock. You guys have heard of Overstock. He was there from the very beginning of Overstock till they went public, over $1 billion company, and he grew it, and we didn't know each other, but we had a mutual friend. And that mutual friend, he's like, how are you doing? I was like, good. And I learned to tell people what I needed help with. It's like everyone says, oh, don't tell anyone you need help because then you're weak, right? That's just bull. It's okay. Everybody needs help. And it actually says you're strong when you have the courage to speak up about it. So I said, I really struggled to find the right CFO. I hired a couple of different guys and they just never fit in with the team and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what am I doing wrong, So I told this guy and he's like, that's interesting, I'll keep that in mind. And a week later he calls me, he's like, I'm golfing with this guy that's CFO of Overstock. You guys have got to meet. You guys, your personalities line up. Came in, the guy's awesome, right? Helped us sell the company and now he's one of my partners at Reese Capital that I invest with. But it's those kind of experiences of letting people know what you're looking for. Don't be ashamed to say, I'm struggling to find the right person or to ask people for help, but I think you'll find the best people not through job ads or things like that. It could happen that way, but it's rare. I think networking with other people is really the right way to do it.
If I could just add on to what Amy said, this past week, my class, I teach BM 372 here, Entrepreneurial Basics.
Sign up for it.
My class did a survey. They did an observancy experiment last week. And as I was reading their surveys that they brought back to me, it was so fascinating what almost every one of them said. That the students here at BYU walk around with their headphones on and their eyes down, and they're sitting here doing this.
Texting.
You have got to put your cell phone away, take your headphones off, and acknowledge people. You've got to sit down. When you sit down by somebody, find out who they are. When you go home for Thanksgiving, find out about that person next to you. It is so important to start building that network right now. Don't say I'm going to do it later. Do it right now. I think the microphone's here first.
Yeah. So for those of you who have been in a position when you're hiring, this is kind of a specific question, something I'm particularly curious about. Hiring the first non-founder CEO of a company, have you been in that
So this is your company, and you're going to hire a CEO to run your company.
Correct.
Okay, good move.
How did you go about, if you haven't done it, how would you recommend going about developing a compensation package for that person?
There's some pretty standard parameters, depending on the size of the company. There's some pretty standard parameters of what packages you'd offer a CEO that's not a founder, okay? So and the percentages, it's all published materials, and again, there's a little bit of variance because we're in Utah and things like that, but there's typically a pretty normal range. When a VC or someone hires a CEO, they're going to give that CEO anywhere from 5 to 8% of the company. Could be as low as 3, but it's usually 5 to 8% goes to your CEO. You typically have your next person that's the highest is your CFO, and they're typically around 2%, and then it goes to maybe 1.5%. So that's a company that's not a startup brand new, that's a company that's already going, and they're recruiting someone into that type of company. And again, there'll be some variance, but that's about a pretty standard amount of compensation in stock. Now, that's assuming they're getting a salary. So if you're bringing someone in who's not getting a salary, and the higher their salary, the less stock they get, because the less risk they're taking, right? So the lower the salary, the higher the stock.
But also, don't give the farm away up front. Remember what we said? So if you're going to agree to give away 5%, maybe they get a certain percentage for signing on.
It should always vest. When I say the percent, it
And
always
then
vests
every
over
year,
time.
it's vesting over time.
Yeah.
Options?
It's stock, or it could even be a grant of stock, but over a period of time. So 5% that they might earn over a period of 4 years.
So if he leaves in a year and a half, you've lost 1.5% of your company, you can live with that.
Yeah.
What
It's hard
industry
to-
are you in?
Biotech.
Biotech.
And always, one thing that we always did with our stock options is we never, even though it would vest, say monthly, but we always had a 1-year cliff vest. And what that means is, for the first year, instead of getting it monthly, they have to get to the end of the 12th month to get to the first 0.25% of what they're gonna get. Because that first year is enough time usually to see if someone's gonna work out or not work out. You need to give yourself that time to see them in the actual position. So you do a 1-year cliff, they have to stay for the full first year to get even 1 ounce of stock. But then at the end of the first year, they get the back of the whole year. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then it goes monthly after that.
If somebody's in an early stage company and they're coming in to be your CEO, if they're looking for a big fat salary, wrong person.
That's right.
They should be coming into this high risk venture for the upside, the equity, and that play. And they should know you're fragile on ability to pay big salaries, and it's totally the wrong fit. So the minute you have a candidate that gives a number that's triple what you thought you'd want to pay outside of the wrong person.
Which means it's gonna cost you more in stock.
It does cost you more in stock, but it's less risky for you.
And cash is precious to you. So is your stock, but your cash is more precious early on, and it's gonna cost you a little bit more.
Yeah, you gotta remember, there's only one reason companies go out of business. There's only one reason: they ran out of cash. That is the only reason you will go out of business, is you'll run out of cash. So always protect your cash.
Boy, be sure you, before you hire a CEO to take over your venture, be sure you're getting the right person. Somebody with a lot of charisma, somebody that's gonna come in and lead that company to the finish line and has all the capabilities to do so. Okay?
So the founder of Mighty Light here in Utah County sold his company, took it public, sold it, made a lot of money. Now he funds entrepreneurs. And I love his model, it's very unique. He pays $60,000 a year salary for the CEO, but gives them half the company. I mean, who's ever heard of that one? That's just wild. And he doesn't want to pay you so much that you can live comfortably, but he wants to help you become wealthy. And then he expects sales and revenue climbs to be horrendously high, like double every year for like 4 years. And if he believes you can do that, and you're willing to accept a $60,000 salary, and you get half of the payoff on the exit, that's a dream structure. So that would fit somebody coming out of BYU. Catch that $60,000 salary. I know it sounds like a dream when you're in school.
They're like, hey, I'll take the 60 grand.
Yeah.
I'm all over that.